Invincible Season 4 is finally out, the first 3 episodes at least, and with it comes a flood of memories from Seasons 2 and 3. Mark is still Mark, fighting warring sides of practicality, struggling to defeat the villains that plague his everyday life while balancing the value of theirs. Season 2 was a study on the planet's reaction to a post-Omni-Man Mark, wanting to hold him accountable for the sins of his father, while also acknowledging the fact that he's the best chance the planet has against a similar threat. Foreshadowing. Season 3 is about Mark fighting a series of these threats while facing the same scrutiny and attempting to solidify his philosophy in the face of the increasing power of his enemies. Fans have been waiting for a continuation of this narrative, and in particular, an evolution of Mark as a protagonist. People want to know what kind of hero he becomes, or more specifically, what kind of hero he can be when he stops holding back. Season 4 shows that he's an incredibly depressed one. The central conflict of Season 4 is Mark's commitment to breaking his no-kill rule and the difficulties that arise as a result of that. Even factoring in the willingness to kill when necessary, it's the when necessary part that can be up for debate depending on who's watching. In this video, we'll discuss the first 3 episodes of Invincible Season 4, breaking down Mark's internal struggle and measuring how this new development has transformed him as a protagonist. So without further ado, get comfortable, check your room for sequids, and let's explore how Mark transforms in Season 4. That will be the only title card joke I make in this video. Don't worry. Before we can explore how he's changed, however, we need to understand what there is to change in the first place. Who Mark is as a person. In Season 1, we see a version of Mark that's scrappy and optimistic. The son of Omni-Man, the strongest hero in the world, Mark Grayson finds himself inheriting his father's powers, and as such, superhero responsibilities of his own. There's an innocence to Mark in Season 1 that I feel is intentionally missing from subsequent seasons. He's very Peter Parker coded, and this contrasts with the very real and very violent superhero world he's found himself forced to engage with. His fight against Omni-Man at the end of the season is meant to be a wake-up call, forcing him to contend with a real opponent for the first time and changing the world's perspective as a whole, both on Omni-Man and on him. Season 2 is a continuation of this developing scrutiny. There's a watchful eye over Mark at all times, it seems, and while Cecil's suspicion isn't misplaced from a logical standpoint, it doesn't necessarily help Mark with the stress he's facing trying to save a world that's constantly waiting on him to explode like his father did. A large part of Mark's development in Season 2 is centered around his goal to alleviate those concerns, attempting to continue his life as normal, but with the threats around him continuously escalating in severity, until he's forced to take a much more permanent route in dealing with his enemies. Angstrom triggers a darker side of Mark at the end of Season 2. He's the first person Mark kills out of anger, and a step over the line of no return. Now that he realizes he's capable of killing, Mark wonders if maybe the concerns about him were right. Season 3 is a gauntlet of encounters for Invincible. Powerplex, the other Invincibles, Conquest, each of them testing Invincible's resolve and forcing him to confront a new idea. Not just the idea that killing is possible, but that it's the right thing to do. Season 3 is meant to show the first side of this extreme. Mark holds back to an embarrassing degree, rendering him useless against even the most mundane of villains, and it's not until the Invincible War that he's forced to confront this more violent side of himself directly, and it's not until the arrival of Conquest that he comes to his own personal answer surrounding this dilemma. The defeat of Conquest ushers in a new era for Mark, one of doing what's necessary and killing when it's needed, a seemingly simple solution to all of the problems that had emerged in Season 3 with its escalating threats and increasing kill count. But what of the other side of the extreme? What happens when Invincible's philosophy is put to the test? I told you I was only going to make the joke once. With Season 4 finally releasing, Invincible wastes no time in showing us the fruits of Mark's labor. The world is distrusting of him, now more than ever, and with good reason, as the final face the world saw in the midst of its near destruction was Invincible's. So many people died last season that crime is at an all-time high, and all in all, our boy is tired and angry and likely so many other things. Also, Eve is pregnant, but that doesn't happen until the end of episode 3, so we're not going to be talking about that. This is Mark's final form of depression. The transformation I was referring to in the title wasn't one of valor or strength, but exhaustion, as on the other side of holding back against all odds is the struggle to understand when your violence is the right choice to make. The Sequid-possessed Russ Livingston is the first life that Mark officially takes in Season 4, and with it comes even more judgment from his peers, even from Cecil, who, while agreeing that Mark made the right choice, scolds him for making that choice for himself. It's this nuance with which the series adds tension to Mark's indecision. It's not the killing itself that's the problem, as it's usually done with good intention, but it's the ease of killing as an act, and the weight that Mark has to bear with every life that he takes. The villains of Invincible are undoubtedly irredeemable in many cases, but Mark himself struggles to sleep at night knowing that every kill brings him one step closer to being like his father. Speaking of which, how is Nolan doing? Oh, okay. I guess he's not sleeping very well either. Titan is yet another returning villain anti-hero thing from previous seasons, and after unknowingly throwing Oliver, Mark's insect half-brother, into a fight against a gang leader who can transform into a dragon, Mark once again dips into his rage, almost killing Titan in a blind fury. Though there's an irony to it, since we as the audience know that Titan did the same thing when his family was threatened. While there's not much development on this plotline yet, as this is just the introduction to Season 4, the seeds are being planted for something even more strenuous on our already suffering protagonist. There is no end to the self-loathing or the questions of necessity, and the story really doesn't hold back on the poor guy. The world of Invincible is one where everyone is fighting to find their own personal answer to impossible questions with looming threats just on the horizon. The difference between taking a life and sparing it for Mark is much more than a throwaway decision, but an indicator of what kind of hero he wants to be, what kind of values he wants to represent. Whether he becomes an honest hero that not even Omni-Man could manage to be because of his own flaws, or he becomes a product of a world that won't give him that luxury. A possibility that scares both him and the people who are aware of that true potential. Either way, to make a decision like this in the face of such danger, one would have to be... Gotcha. My name is John Sage, and thanks for watching.